Sire 7 Secret Salary Moves, Tech Recruiters Exposed to Referral Hires Only. A recruiter friend showed me the internal comp bands they never post publicly. One negotiation trick alone is worth $12,000. She pulled up her screen, pointed at a spreadsheet that had 3 columns I'd never seen before, and said, "This is what we're actually authorized to pay, and this is what we offer first." The gap between those two numbers? $47,000 on a senior role. And here's what made me almost spit out my coffee. The people who get the higher number aren't smarter, they aren't more qualified. They just know 7 specific moves that recruiters only share with referral candidates behind closed doors. I spent 3 weeks getting 4 different tech recruiters to spill everything. What I'm about to tell you is going to make you angry because it's so simple, but it's going to make you a lot richer if you actually use it. Before I break down all 7 moves, you need to understand something that changed how I think about salary forever. These recruiters aren't your enemy. They have targets, they have budgets, and most importantly, they have specific phrases that trigger automatic increases in your offer. We're going to cover those exact phrases in move number 4. But the move that shocked me most? Number 6. It involves what happens after you accept the offer. And almost nobody talks about it because they think negotiation ends when you sign. It doesn't. We'll get there. Here's my credibility on this. I've helped over 200 people negotiate their tech offers in the last 18 months. 43 of them got increases over $20,000. I've seen the internal documents. I've sat on calls with recruiters. And 3 of those recruiters became friends who now tell me things they'd never say publicly. Move number 1 is called the competing offer phantom. And before you roll your eyes and say, just get multiple offers, let me tell you what actually works, because that advice is garbage if you don't know the mechanics. My friend Marcus was interviewing at Stripe last year. He was in final rounds. He had 0 other offers. Nothing. But here's what he did. He told the recruiter, very casually, "I have another process moving quickly at a growth stage fintech, and they mentioned they're targeting a decision by Friday." Notice what he didn't do. He didn't lie about having an offer. He said he had a process moving quickly. That's true if you've even applied somewhere else. The recruiter's response? Let me see what I can do to accelerate our timeline and make sure our offer is competitive. Marcus got his Stripe offer 48 hours later, and the base was $11,000 higher than the initial verbal range they'd discussed. Why? Because recruiters operate on loss aversion. The moment they think you might go somewhere else, a different part of their brain activates. They stop trying to save budget and start trying to close you. The specific language matters. You never say, "I have an offer from company X." That's verifiable. You say, "I have another process that's moving toward an offer," or "I'm expecting to hear back from another opportunity this week." Vague enough to be true, specific enough to create urgency. And here's the part nobody tells you. You can use this even with 1 application out there. As long as you've applied somewhere, you have a process in motion. Now, this only works if you understand what happens in the recruiter's system when you say this, which leads directly into move number 2. Move number 2 is understanding comp bands, and I mean really understanding them, not the surface-level stuff you read online. Every role at a company like Google, Meta, Amazon, or any well-funded startup has what's called a compensation band. It's a range. For a mid-level software engineer at a Series C startup, that band might be $140,000 to $195,000 base. The recruiter's job is to get you to accept as close to the bottom of that band as possible while still closing you. Your job is to get as close to the top as possible. Simple. But here's what my recruiter friend Sarah told me that I'd never heard before. There are actually 3 numbers in that band that matter. There's the floor, the absolute minimum they can offer without getting approval from above. There's the target, what they're budgeted to spend, and what they'll offer first. And there's the ceiling, the max they can go with just their manager's approval. Above the ceiling requires VP sign-off, and they almost never do that. So when you're negotiating, your goal isn't to get more money. Your goal is to get from target to ceiling. That gap is typically 15 to 20%. On a $160,000 offer, that's $24,000 to $32,000 you're leaving on the table if you accept the first number. The exact question to ask, and write this down, is, can you help me understand where this offer falls within the band for this role? Most recruiters will tell you they're not supposed to, but they do. And once you know you're at the bottom or middle, you have leverage to ask for ceiling. I watched my friend David use this exact question at Airbnb. The recruiter paused, then said, "This is toward the lower end, but it's a strong offer." David responded with, "I'm really excited about this role, but I'd need the offer to reflect the higher end of the band to move forward." He got an additional $18,500 in base. One question, $18,000. Move number 3 is what I call the signing bonus backdoor, and this is where most people fumble a guaranteed payday. Here's the situation. You've negotiated base salary. They've come up a bit, maybe not as much as you wanted. The recruiter says, "We're at the max we can do for base." Most people hear that and think the negotiation is over. It's not. It's actually just starting. Signing bonuses come from a completely different budget. This is crucial. When a recruiter says they can't move on base, they're telling you the truth about that bucket of money. But signing bonus? That's discretionary. It's meant for exactly this situation, to close candidates who need more but can't get it in base. The script that works, and I've seen this work 17 times personally, is this. I understand base is at the max. Is there flexibility in a signing bonus to help bridge the gap for my first year? That last part matters. Bridge the gap for my first year gives them the justification they need internally. Signing bonuses in tech typically range from $10,000 to $50,000 depending on level. But here's the ninja move. Some companies do signing bonuses in 2 tranches, half when you start, half after 6 months. If they offer that structure, ask for it all up front. They'll often say yes because it doesn't change their total cost. I need to mention something here because this is where content creation intersects with negotiation. If you're building any kind of personal brand or side content while job hunting, which you should be, there are tools that can help you create professional content that actually impresses recruiters when they Google you. I've been using 11 Labs for voiceovers, and it's genuinely changed how I produce content. I'll drop a link in the description if you want to check it out. But back to the money. Move number 3 has a secret extension. If they won't do a signing bonus, ask about a make-whole bonus. This is different. A make-whole bonus is specifically designed to cover compensation you're leaving behind at your current job. Unvested stock, pending bonuses, that kind of thing. Even if you don't have much to leave behind, you can frame it as, "I'd be walking away from my annual bonus, which pays out in 2 months." Suddenly, there's justification for an extra $8,000 to $15,000. If you're finding this useful, hit subscribe. I drop videos like this every single day, breaking down exactly how money actually works. Move number 4 is the phrase library, and I'm giving you 3 exact phrases that trigger recruiter action. Phrase 1, I want to make this work, but the current offer doesn't reflect my market value. That word market is powerful. It implies you've done research. It implies other options. It implies you're not just asking for more because you want more. Phrase 2, what would it take to get this offer to specific number? Notice you're not demanding. You're collaborating. Recruiters respond to this because it makes them your partner in solving a problem, not your opponent. Phrase 3. I'm very excited about this role, and I want to join the team. Can you go back to the hiring manager and see if there's any additional flexibility? This phrase works because it does three things. It confirms your interest, it gives them a specific action to take, and it shifts responsibility to someone with more authority. Write these down. Screenshot this. Practice saying them out loud. These phrases have generated over $340,000 in additional compensation for people I've worked with, and I'm not exaggerating. Move number 5 is the one that made me angriest when I learned it. It's called the level bump, and companies have been robbing candidates with this for years. Here's what happens. You apply for a senior software engineer role. You interview well. You get an offer. But the offer comes in lower than you expected. Why? Because somewhere in the process, without telling you, they down-leveled you. They decided you're actually a mid-level engineer, not senior, and they're offering you the comp for that level. This happens constantly, and most people never know. The recruiter doesn't announce it. The offer letter just says software engineer without the level, or it says level 4, and you have no idea what that means. The fix: before you start negotiating compensation, ask this exact question. What level is this offer for, and was this the level the role was originally posted as? If they down-leveled you, you have two choices. Accept the lower level and negotiate hard within that band. Or push back on the level itself, which, if successful, automatically comes with a higher comp band. I watched someone get a $35,000 increase not by negotiating salary, but by convincing the hiring manager they deserved the original level. Same job, same responsibilities. $35,000 more dollars. The level determines the band. The band determines your ceiling. Fight for the level first. Move number 6 is what I teased earlier. Post-acceptance negotiation. Yes, this is real. No, it won't get your offer rescinded if you do it right. Here's when this applies. You've accepted. You have a start date, but that start date is 3 or 4 weeks out. In that window, you can still negotiate, specifically for things that don't affect base comp. I'm talking about start date bonuses for starting earlier than planned. I'm talking about equipment stipends. I'm talking about professional development budgets.